Shalom. I'm going to talk about police in this video, and police brutality, and police itchy trigger fingers. I don't know if you have heard, but there was another unjustified police shooting yesterday or the day before. This one involved a black woman, Yisra'elite female. Apparently, her front door was open. She had left it open, or maybe she didn't close it all the way, and the wind, blew it open. And a concerned neighbor, seeing her door open, decided to call the cops to perform what they call a welfare check. This is basically where somebody, a concerned party, will call the police to have them stop by and just see if everything's okay. This is not a call to alarm or a call that suggests that there is something afoot. This is just more of a, come by, just knock on the door, say, announce yourself and just kind of just see if everything's okay. Well, the responding officer showed up at this woman's house. Didn't look like he really announced himself from the video that I've seen of it. And he proceeds to basically walk around the house. I don't know, maybe looking for signs of something. But the strange thing is that if the door was open, why didn't he just proceed inside if he thought something was afoot? But no, he decides to case the perimeter of the house. And then he comes across a window, and I suspect from what it looks like in the video, he sees this woman in the window, either in the blind, and there are blinds on the window too. So I don't know, maybe he just saw her shadow, or maybe she was peering out of the window. Now, mind you, this is her house, so perhaps she woke up or something and noticed someone was walking around her house. And so she may have just been peering through the blinds out the window. Well, according to the video, the cop he quickly says, "Show me your hands." You know how they do. Show me your hands. Show me your hands. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. So he quickly says, "Show me your hands." And I don't think he even has time to even complete the sentence before he fires at this person, striking her. I don't know how many times, but it was enough to kill her. So this situation here, there's so many things to really look at in this situation. For one, I don't really see how this particular cop will escape this situation with just a slap on the wrist. Way too many mess ups on his part. For one, when he says, "Show me your hands," he does not give the individual that he's shouting at any real time to react, whether it be to comply to what he is saying or to do anything. He says, "Show me your hands," and then he fires his gun instantly. Now, from what I've heard of this story, there are kind of conflicting reports. There was a firearm, a pistol, found in this woman's home. One report says that the cop said that the woman had the pistol in her hands. Another report says that the pistol was actually in her bedroom. But regardless if the pistol was in her hands or in the bedroom or flying through the air, we are not forbidden from having firearms. We are covered by the Second Amendment, just like every other American in this country. So this whole notion by the media that are quick to cite in one of these incidents, they are very quick to let everyone know that the black person either had a gun in their possession or a gun was found near them. As if a gun being anywhere near us is grounds for the police to do something. This is a very frustrating concept here. And like I said, the mainstream media is just as guilty in this because they go out of their way to let us know if the black person that was gunned down by the cops had a gun, even if the gun was legally theirs. Even in this case, if the gun was in the person's house while that person was in their own house. So there's that. Then secondly, like I mentioned earlier, if the door was ajar, why didn't this cop go to the open door, announce his police presence, call out to people? You know, he didn't do any of that. Instead, he decided to sneak around the premises. You know, when you're sneaking around someone's property, you're almost always going to catch, if that owner of the property is there, you're almost always going to catch them off guard or by surprise. Now, one or two things can happen in this situation. One, you catch them off guard by surprise, you announce your presence, and then they look shocked and surprised, but then they're like relieved that you're not a burglar. Two, you catch them off guard, and if they are armed, they proceed to try to defend their property. Now, in a situation like that, we are led to believe routinely that the police would be in the right to shoot someone, even if the homeowner is the person that they're shooting, that they snuck up on, that thought they were being robbed. We are led to believe that even in those situations, the cops would be right to shoot that person. Now, people will quickly jump to the conclusion that this was another race motivated police shooting, which is not, in my opinion, doesn't really factor in here, because first of all, when the cop caught sight of the woman, I don't think he really had a good view of her, since she was looking through blinds and everything. And secondly, there have been multiple incidents where police have responded to calls where not a real high stress situation, nothing to go into with your guns out and blazing, but they responded to the call and someone ends up getting shot that really shouldn't have gotten shot. Just the other week or last month, a white homeowner experienced a very similar event. apparently an elderly person was staying in the home with them, and that person's, maybe they accidentally hit their alarm, those elderly people have those little alarm necklaces on that if they fall down, they can push it, and I've fallen and I can't get up. Well, apparently an elderly person in that home accidentally pushed theirs. And it must be procedure sometimes for some of these companies that if they don't get an immediate response after an alert is sent out, they assume maybe something bad has happened to that person. Like maybe they've been robbed or they're being held captive, and the only alert that they could give was pushing their monitoring device. So instead of the paramedics showing up at this house thinking to find a elderly person on the ground struggling to get up, they sent a cop. And the cop did a very similar thing to what this other cop did that shot this black woman. He cased the joint, walked around the premises, but by doing that, he alerted the homeowner. The homeowner who thought the cop was a burglar. So naturally, the homeowner got a gun. The homeowner made his way downstairs, and as he was coming downstairs and walking around, seeing if he could see someone, the cop was able to spy the homeowner through the front door, the window of the front door. And the cop saw the homeowner holding the gun. And what did the cop do? You guessed it. The cop opened fire on the homeowner through the door, simply because he saw the homeowner holding a gun. Shot the guy one or two times in the stomach. Now this was a white guy that this happened to. So what does that tell us? Well, that tells us that when it comes to cops being quick on the draw and even quicker with their trigger finger, this is more than an assault on us Israelites. This is a sign of a systemic problem throughout America in its police forces. And it is my personal opinion that this problem is directly rooted in the training of these cops, these police academies. These police academies are creating these monsters. And I'm pretty sure I can figure out how they do it. They are constantly instilling in the minds of these cops that they only have a split second to react. You only got a split second, man. Yeah, you only got a split second. It just takes a split second, man. Come on, you only got a split second. Split second, split second, split second. So they're constantly beating that into the minds of these cadets over and over again. That when shit go down, they only have a split second to react. And if they don't react fast enough, they die. Now what that does is that puts these people on the street in a state of hyper-vigilance. It's very similar to paranoia. When they enter these situations, they have this programmed thought. It only takes a split second going through their minds over and over again. As a result, they are constantly in a state of trying to be faster, be quicker than someone who may be trying to do them harm. That is what's leading to these shootings. These cops are way too fast to shoot. They're way too quick to draw down. They're way too quick to pull the trigger. This black woman only received a command, but never was given time to respond to it before she was shot. That white man I told you about, he never did receive a command. The cop just simply saw a gun in his hand and shot. You only got a split second. You only got a split second, man. I can already hear their drill instructors saying that shit over and over and over again. And somebody really should just get a baseball bat and cave one of their heads in for doing that. Because what they have done, they have produced volatile elements that go out and end up killing people, innocent people. So they're accountable too. You know, they really are. They should not get off. You know, a good ass beating with a baseball bat would do them good. But yeah. And here's the thing. Here's the most messed up thing about all this. And that, you know, really a cop, if they were to hear this video, they really should take this to heart. This notion that you are at war on American streets is very silly and asinine. Because here's the reality of it all. If you were at war on American streets, you would have already lost it. These cops are nothing special. They are not the best shooters. They don't have the best aim. And they're not as fast as they think they are. If they truly were at war on American streets against Americans, there are people here in this country who could light a cop up way faster than that cop would be able to think. So this whole notion that you need to be faster is silly. Because the only people that cops you routinely get into shootouts with are drunk people, high people, suicidal people. You know, the kind of people that just run at you, screaming and hollering. They may have a gun in their hand, and if they do, they holding it sideways. You know, they're not up against any competent shooters most of the time. They're not up against anybody who is trying to kill them and survive most of the time. They're up against people who either are so high out their minds that they don't even know what's going on, or they are suicidal, borderland. Neither one of these people are competent shooters. This is not a war. On the rare occasions that these police do come up against someone who half knows what they're doing and is fighting to survive, most of the time the cops retreat in those situations and they call in SWAT. Now those are the very rare occasions. That's what happens when a competent shooter, someone who is actually trying to kill and continue living, they're not out in the open. They're taking cover. You know, they're doing all the tactical stuff that the cops do. Those situations typically routinely end in the cops running away and calling for backup. And so the point I'm trying to make with that is that this notion that these cops have, that they're in some kind of war zone, and that they only have a split second, and that they need to be faster and quicker on the draw than everyone else, is very silly. Because if this was truly a war zone, this war would have been lost by them a long time ago. I mean, when I go to the range from time to time, I see cops up in there shooting from time to time. Let me tell you something, I'm not impressed. Not at all. You know? So, it's just this notion that they need to be hyper-vigilant. The reality of that is that all these actions that they are committing will actually create the scenario where they will be in a true war zone. That's the whole irony of this situation. Their actions to supposedly be faster than everyone because they think that they're in a war zone is actually going to create the war zone. And when that happens, they cannot win that battle. Not in America. You know what they remind me of? They remind me of the bully. The bully that's always been picking on people who never were trying to fight back, were never willing to fight back. And so every victory the bully gets, they actually think themselves great. I'm the best fighter, because they were fighting against people that weren't even trying to fight back against them. But when the bully finally comes up against somebody who is actually trying to fight back against them, the bully gets introduced to a new reality. And he comes to understand that he is woefully equipped for it. Shalom.